The hall does not breathe. Frost crawls across marble like veins of glass, and torches tremble as she is led in, barefoot, wrists raw from iron. Every noble lowers their eyes. Only the Lycan King watches. He does not speak for a long moment. The silence hums, heavy and waiting. Then softly, almost amused, he says, "Remove the chains." Beat. CTA, low tone. If you're still breathing after that, you'll want to stay. Like, subscribe, and step deeper into the shadows before they close behind you. The locks fall clattering across stone, and she stands small against the vastness of his throne. Somewhere in the hall, a whisper cuts the air. A blade flashes. She moves before thought can stop her. Steel meets flesh. Her blood touches the floor where his should have been. The king catches the falling knife, eyes glinting like the moon's reflection on steel. He steps down from the dais, close enough for the cold between them to burn. He studies her defiance, the way she stands unbowed before a predator. His laugh is low, dangerous. "Keep your spine," he says. "You'll need it." Later, the chamber is quiet. His voice reaches her before his touch ever does. Rough silk in the dark. He circles, testing fear, measuring silence. Every breath becomes a command, every pause a lesson she does not yet understand. The torches die one by one, and the room forgets its light. At dawn, she's found asleep on the stone floor untouched. But just above her pulse, faint beneath the skin, glows the crest of the Lycan King, a mark no hand ever made. He stands before his court the next night, crown glinting like a wound made of gold. The girl kneels at the foot of the dais, the sigil at her throat still faintly burning. His voice cuts through the murmurs, calm and cruel. 3 nights of my rules, survive them and you'll win one of your own. If you think she'll last even one, stay close. Like and subscribe, and step into the wager. The challenge spreads through the hall like wildfire. Rules are whispered, sealed in wax, designed to break her. Rise when he commands. Speak only when spoken to. Eat from his hand if offered. She obeys every order with precision, never intention, turning obedience into a blade. Each time she bends, the court shifts, whispering, "Witch," or "mate." By the second night, her stillness is a storm. When he orders her to kneel, she does, yet lifts her head high enough to meet his gaze. For the first time, the king hesitates, then nods once, acknowledgement or warning no one can tell. The third night, he tells her to pour his wine. She does, sets the goblet aside and says softly, "Sit." The word lands like lightning. The court freezes. The Lycan King stares for a heartbeat too long, then laughs deep and unwilling and sits. It isn't obedience. It's surrender disguised as curiosity. That night, the castle doors close on silence. Somewhere beyond them, a chair scrapes stone. A breath catches close to a pulse. Frost blooms across the window from within. The torches hold their flame, trembling, until dawn spills across the floor. When morning comes, the girl stands by that same window, calm, unmarked, watching the horizon. The king's beta finds her there. His smile is a blade wrapped in courtesy. "You won't see night 4, he says, and the sound of it hangs in the air long after he's gone. That night, thunder crowns the horizon. The Lycan King stands before his pack, eyes lit like cold fire, and declares the hunt. If she's caught, she kneels. If she crosses the Black River, she chooses her own fate. The court laughs. They think it's a game. Only she understands that every word from his mouth is a test. The storm breaks as the gates open. She runs through corridors slick with rain, her heartbeat keeping time with the drums of pursuit. The palace itself turns against her. Doors that shouldn't open do. Shadows whisper directions that sound almost kind. She follows the map stolen from a maid who wasn't a maid at all. It leads her to the river, black as glass, still as breath before a scream. Behind her, the hunt closes in. Wolves and men and one king who hunts slower than he could, as though he wants the chase to last. She steps into the water and the world flares white. The river isn't water. It's a ward. Power cracks across the storm, revealing the true traitors, not the beta, but the council hiding behind old oaths. Lightning exposes them, faces pale as bone. She turns, drenched and unbroken, and sees the beta at her side, blade drawn, ready to die for a loyalty he can't explain. She lowers his hand instead, grants him his life as payment for truth. The king watches from the bank, motionless as a raven perched in snow. He's not the only hunter tonight. When the storm dies, the castle breathes again. She stands under the eaves, soaked and shaking from more than rain. He steps out of the shadows, cloak in hand. He drapes it over her shoulders without a word. The silence hums between them. Heat where there should be cold, defiance where there should be fear. His voice is low enough to almost break. Promises fall between them like sparks. Half-oaths bitten back before they can burn. The wind stills. For a moment it feels like the world has forgotten them. Then dawn pushes through the clouds, gray and thin. He leaves before she can speak. When she looks down, the sigil at her throat is brighter than before, flickering, pulsing, alive. By sunrise, she learns the truth whispered by the old physician. The mark that binds them isn't just a claim. Each dawn, it steals a fragment of his life and feeds it into hers. Every breath she takes now belongs to him, and every one he draws costs him a little more. Morning arrives without warmth. The court physician is summoned, pale and shaking, clutching scrolls he doesn't want to read aloud. His voice breaks the silence like glass. The bond is reversed. Every moment she survives steals a thread from the Lycan King's life. The mark that glows on her skin is not his protection. It is his surrender bleeding backward through time. The hall erupts. Fear turns to arithmetic. The nobles whisper of a cure, something whispered in foreign tongues, an old rite that severs soul from soul. The catch, it spares the king by ending her. When the parchment reaches his throne, he doesn't glance at it. He burns it in his hand and watches the ashes fall like snow. There will be no cure, he says, and the council understands. The king would rather die than undo the bond. By dusk, she knows the whispers won't stop. She studies herself in the mirror, watching the crest pulse like a heartbeat that isn't hers. Each flicker means he's weaker. She decides the only way to live without being hunted is to make herself indispensable. Too useful to kill, too dangerous to cage. If she can learn to command what's inside her, she can hold the court in check until she finds her own way out. That night she goes to him. The chamber is quiet, the storm's echo long gone. "Teach me," she says, voice steady. "If this power feeds on you, then I need to control it." He hesitates, then nods once. He shows her how to breathe through the pulse, to find the edge where strength meets restraint. His hands never touch, but the space between them trembles as though something unseen might break. Every command he gives is a lesson, every pause a warning. The air thickens, words turn to silence, silence to heat. "Say when," he murmurs, voice almost human. The door closes before she can answer. Outside, the torches flare, then die, leaving only the hush of power changing shape. When dawn comes, the castle wakes to chaos. The false maid, the one who handed her the map through which the hunt was won, has vanished. Royal seals are missing, forged letters surface, and the blame falls on the beta. The pack divides overnight, half swearing loyalty to the king, half believing he's blinded by the woman who's killing him. The bond still glows at her throat, brighter than ever. Somewhere beneath it, something darker starts to stir, an echo that isn't hers, whispering that every cure has a cost, and this one hasn't been paid yet. By morning, the castle smells of iron and distrust. The council calls for justice. 2 trials, one for the beta accused of treason, and one for the girl accused of bewitching their king. The air in the great hall feels heavy, stretched tight like a bowstring. Evidence piles high, each word shaped to wound. By the laws of the realm, both are guilty. The king listens without blinking, his expression carved from silence. When the council calls for execution, the girl steps forward before he can speak. Her voice cuts through the noise. She invokes a rite so old most believe it myth, trial by endurance. If she lasts the bell ring circle, both live. If she falls, both die. The king's gaze turns to her, sharp and unreadable. Fury burns beneath his stillness, but pride glints there too, buried deep enough to hurt. He agrees to the trial, his voice flat as winter steel. The circle is drawn at dusk. The court gathers in silence. She stands barefoot inside, the sigil at her throat pulsing in rhythm with the distant bell. The trial begins. Heat, cold, and pain are its language. Every toll of the bell marks another round of endurance. The crowd expects her to fall before the third. She lasts beyond the fifth. By the eighth, she's shaking but unbroken, her breath shallow but steady. When the final bell tolls and the silence returns, she's still standing. The king rises from his throne before anyone can stop him. He crosses the circle, breaking protocol, and lifts her into his arms as if she weighs nothing. "Debt repaid," he says, for all to hear. 3 factions crumble in a single sentence. That night, the halls stay quiet. In the chamber, her hands tremble, not from weakness, but from everything she refused to show before the court. He watches her, eyes softer now, but no less dangerous. He reaches out, stops short of touch, and says, "I won't take what pain hasn't offered." The air trembles. The silence fills with something that isn't command anymore. It's choice. A breath shared. A surrender made without words. The room fades, leaving only the slow rise of calm after chaos, a hand tightening in silk, the echo of a vow unspoken but felt. When dawn bleeds across the floor, the spy moves in the shadows, watching from afar. She slips a scroll beneath the chamber door, a warning or a curse. It tells of an ancient moon rite designed to move the king's life into a new vessel. The chosen vessel isn't random. It's her. The red moon rises like a wound reopening across the sky. The spy moves through the corridors unseen, her voice soft as prayer, her lies wrapped in promise. She tells the girl the king is dying, that only the sanctum can stop it. Desperation makes her follow. She steps into the hollow heart of the castle, where stone breathes heat and the air smells of iron and incense. The doors close behind her. The rite begins without the king's consent. The circle flares crimson, the runes drinking light until everything glows like living blood. She hears her own heartbeat answering in the dark, feels the sigil at her throat burn as if something inside her is being rewritten. Then she understands the trick. The spell will not save him. It will hollow him, pour his strength into an empty vessel, and wear his body like a crown. She looks to the altar where his name is carved, the place meant to hold his soul, and she makes her choice. The sanctum trembles as she steps forward, breaking every line the mages drew. Her hands strike the crystal focus, and the world splits open with sound. Energy rushes through her, all the force meant for him drawn instead into her own body. The light blinds, the stone cracks, and she falls, breathing but barely. When the king finds her, the sanctum is ruin, ash, smoke, and silence. He kneels beside her, voice rough from disbelief, calling her name as if it might anchor her back to the world. She opens her eyes and meets him with a look that ends the distance between them. In the quiet that follows, there is nothing left of the court. No walls, no crown. Only 2 people who have burned too much to fear the fire. They choose hunger over fear for the first time. Wordless, breathless, sacred. When the doors close, the night itself holds its breath. By dawn, the air feels different. The sigil no longer glows alone. A matching mark now burns faintly at the king's throat. The bond has changed, no longer draining him, now shared, equal, alive. The court calls it blasphemy. The priests call it a curse. But beyond the walls, the drums begin to sound heavy and certain. War is coming. And this time, the king will not fight alone. The sky darkens long before the storm. From the watchtower, 3 banners rise on the horizon, old enemies and new, their colors bleeding against the snow. The alarm bell tolls once, then again. Inside the walls, the spy moves like a whisper, her hands steady as she unbars the gates from within. The breach comes at dawn. Steel meets frost and the castle screams awake. The king is already on the field, fighting like the stories that made his name. Every swing precise, every roar a promise. Blood and snow fall together until the world forgets which is which. Inside, she commands the inner ward. Her voice cuts through chaos, turning servants into shadows, shadows into knives. They move with her will, silent and unyielding. Each step she takes is calculated, each order shaped to protect the man who bleeds for her outside the walls. The spy's betrayal spreads like poison. Fires bloom across the courtyard. The old oaths crumble. The beta finds her amid the wreckage, wounds fresh, eyes clear. "My debt ends here," he says, and seals the breach with his life. The gate holds, but the cost echoes through every stone. By dusk, the outer wall is lost. The escape path stands open, one corridor through the mountain just wide enough for 2. She looks toward it, then toward the throne room, where the final defense waits. "If we run, they die," she whispers. He meets her gaze and answers without words. He takes her flank instead. The night before the final push is quiet. The fires burn low, the air thick with frost and unspoken truth. They stand in the half-light, gloves stripped away, breath rising between them. A kiss passes like a vow, not gentle, not desperate, but absolute. Steam curls in the cold as though the world itself bends to watch. When the doors crash open, the battle floods in. He moves first, she follows, a rhythm born of instinct and defiance. Steel meets steel and vows turn to war. Then, from the gallery above, a whisper of motion, the spy's final treachery. A hidden crossbow hums. The king turns, too late for thought, just in time for choice. The bolt strikes deep, meant for her heart, but buried in his. He falls without a sound. The world stops moving. He lies in the snow, the world burning around him, and somehow he's smiling, like a prophecy has finally kept its promise. She drops beside him, hands slick with frost and blood that isn't hers. His eyes are glassing over, but they still find her. The battle rages. The gates have fallen. Enemies flood the hall, shouting victory that hasn't yet earned its name. She drags him through the smoke toward the moon altar, the one place the castle still remembers as sacred. Every step leaves a red trail behind them. When they reach the stone, she lays him down and whispers the oldest bargain ever spoken beneath the moon. My breath for his crown. The altar stirs, ancient and aware. The air splits with light. She feels the pull begin, his life draining, her own unraveling, and for the first time she doesn't fight it. The spy wanted a vessel. She becomes one, but on her terms. She takes just enough of his fire to rekindle his heart, and too much to see another dawn. He wakes beneath her hands, coughing back life that shouldn't have returned. She's already fading, light tracing her skin like dawn remembering her shape. He pulls her close, forehead to forehead, breaths meeting between them. No words left, only the rhythm of 2 hearts trying to memorize each other before silence. The world around them stills, listening as they relearn goodbye. When it's over, he crowns her with his mantle, the symbol of every war, every law, every chain he ever forged. Her voice is soft but certain. End the hunt, end the chains. He nods once. The bond between them snaps like a star burning out. She's gone before the echo fades. The throne room falls quiet. Snow drifts through the broken roof, melting where it touches his hands. The Wolf King sits again, this time wearing grief like armor. His crown gleams dull in the morning light. The winter broke, and with it the man who never bowed until her.